Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Expert Suck Sports Betting Podcast. I am Mike Day, and I am flying solo tonight. My co host Brad Thurman is traveling for his real job, so got to respect that. Good on you, Brad. Safe travels, my man. Brandon Day is unavailable as well, so you guys got me tonight to go over the football season 2 of the Expert Set Sports Betting Podcast for week 11. So get right into it. Who we are is a podcast that Brad and I started last year, first season. And the idea is, and still is, that we are going to take football, college, and pro picks in a contest that we're in and take the consensus of the experts' picks and try to go the opposite. So in the contest we're in, we have 6 picks, college or pro, against the spread. And then we came up with a criteria for the slate of games that we could pick from. Because sometimes when you're looking at the consensus of the experts, they may be like 95% of the experts are on a game, but only like 3 experts. And all of them, well, that'd be 100%. But you get what I'm saying. Like there has to be a large number of experts picking the game. So our criteria is 65% or more of the experts have to be on one side of a game. And then a minimum of 75 experts need to be picking within that game. And then we go the opposite. So that is the show. And then what we do on the podcast is we review last week's games, which would be week 10 of the NFL. And we go by the NFL. So we started the season with week 1 of the NFL, and we just go through that. So it's like 1 week behind the college season. And then in the second half of the show, we go over this week's picks. And within that, we have some slides if you're watching on YouTube. Sorry, folks that listen to us on Spotify. When I upload the replay, you don't get to see the cool slides, but you can go back to the YouTube channel and check out the replay video portion of it and see the super cool slides. So that's where we're at. And this is usually a time where I greet Brad or Brandon. And since they're not here, I'm just greeting our listeners. Hopefully we get somebody in the comments to jump in and interact with the show. That would be fantastic. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump in. It could be a quick show this week. Since I don't have all that much to talk about, I can jump into a couple things. And I will as we get to the review of these games. So I typically go from the highest percent game that we pick down to the lowest percent game. These are not in chronological order. So for week 10, we had a very good week again. We went 4-2, and then the previous 2 weeks before that, we were 5-1 and 5-1. So we've had a little bit of a winning streak, I would say, here in the last few weeks. Just, a little bit of luck, a little bit of insight, I guess, into our picks. And you always need a little bit of luck to get on the plus side of 3-3. A lot of luck, as it turns out, to get the 6-0 in the contest that we were in. We do have some friends and family that have hit that. Brad and I both do our personal picks, and I think Brad has hit one of his. I think he has 2 entries. I have not hit one this season yet. I have before in the history of the league or the contest, and we always root for everybody, our friends and family, super fans, poker group, those individuals that are in the contest to go 6-0. It's a fun thing to do. Okay, so last week, here is the first one of the super cool slides that we do. Okay, week 10 picks, already week 10 of the NFL was last week. on to week 11. That's crazy. There's only, 7 more weeks left before the playoffs. And I believe only 4 weeks left of college, like a full slate of college picks um, before we start to get into some of the craziness and shenanigans with the bowls. And I say shenanigans because, um, there's a lot of like transfer portal guys and guys that opt out of games and coaching moves, and you never know what team's going to show up for their bowl game. So we deal with that when it comes, and sometimes our picks take a little bit of a hit, but we do our best to keep up and maintain our winning percentage with the NFL picks. So last week, the first game to review, 79% of the experts were on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the New England Patriots. New England was getting 2.5 points, and the final score was 28-3 or 28-23 Patriots. Yeah, Brad was not completely on board with this pick when I kind of threw that out there. He doesn't necessarily, and not me in particular, I just felt like the key to the game, even though the Buccaneers were at home, the key to the game was that the Buccaneers are just too hurt. They're too injured. And a lot of their skill positions are where their injuries are happening, their wide receivers, etc., running back, lead running back. So that led to a substandard performance for the Buccaneers and an outright win by the Patriots, even getting the 2.5 points. So that was a nice win by us. And then the next one, 75% of the experts were on the Buffalo Bills at Miami, and that gave us the Dolphins plus 9.5. The final score was somewhat surprising, with the Dolphins winning 30-13. And I say somewhat because the Bills have a tendency to do one of these games every year where they just go out and play really below and down to their opponent's level and just look terrible. And then come roaring back and make it into the playoffs. And we all know that history there. But the Dolphins did jump out to a 16-0 lead at half. And then they kind of played good defense and scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. The Bills did Bills things like I was just talking about. And I mean good defense, because sometimes this is caused by good defense. But the Bills did have 3 turnovers, which isn't like them, isn't great for them, not a formula for winning. But it was good for us because we did have Miami plus points, plus 9.5, which we didn't need any of those, as it turns out. And then the next game, this is the Thursday night game as we go back in time. 73% of the experts were on the Denver Broncos hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders were getting 9 points, and the final score was a whopping 10-7 win by the Broncos. But just kind of what we wanted and what we spoke into existence, Brad and I, is that we wanted the Broncos to win, but not win by more than 9. And we got our wish. And both of us, and especially me, will fully admit that this was an ugly win. And sometimes you got to do that. I mean, sometimes you got to win ugly. You got to win when you're not playing your best game. You win when your offensive coordinator and your coaches aren't calling their best game. And this did, I wrote here in my notes, this did inspire my rant from Tuesday night that I posted to YouTube. Go back and check that out. But yeah, there's a lot of talking heads that, and I think what I said was they talk a lot of nonsense and a lot of foolishness, sometimes for clickbait, but about the Broncos. And the Broncos, go back and listen to the rant. Go and look at the rant on YouTube. But basically, is the Broncos win. They're 8-2. Yeah, have some of the wins not been great? No, but some of the wins have been great. They beat Philadelphia, the defending champs. They beat the Dallas Cowboys, who at the time was the number one offense in the NFL. So yeah, I mean, all right, here we go. I did need somebody to jump in, and here's our guy Preston from Nashville. Hope all is well. Been missing some of the streams. That's all right, Preston. Hey, we're all busy, right? So hopefully we get some picks in here for you that you like. And he said, let's get some cash. So yeah, that would be awesome. So thanks, Preston, for joining in. Somebody's saying technical difficulties. So somebody just texted me. John Mooney texted me technical difficulties. Is everybody not seeing the show? I don't know. Let me do one thing and see. I don't know. Let me know. Apparently, Preston was able to jump in, but not 100% sure. This is not compelling podcasting, but I do want to make sure. What I'm doing is I'm going to our YouTube channel to see if it's going. Yeah, it looks like I'm live. You got to click on the live there, folks. Yeah, I could even hear it back in my headphones, so I have to mute that. But I'm going to go ahead and keep going because I believe we're going. So yeah, it says live and recording. All right, sorry about that, John. Let me know in the comments and keep texting me. I don't know if that's my end or your end, John Mooney, but I'm going to keep going because I just checked my YouTube channel and it was up there. So pick number, what are we up to? Pick number 5. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Number 4. Still green, still on the winning side. 68% of the experts are on Army, which gave us the Temple Owls, plus 6.5. The final score of this game was 14-13 Army. And again, much like the Broncos, just what we wanted and what we talked about is we just thought Temple could keep it close. And they even had a chance to win outright, but it seemed like they were pretty easily within the plus 6.5. So that gave us our 4th win for the week. And then we get into the red ones. We'll talk. Oh, yeah. This one, we kind of were. So I kind of named this one the fraud alert game. So 68% of the experts were on Texas Tech, hosting the BYU Cougars. BYU was getting 10 points. The final score of this game was 29-7 Texas Tech. And what I mean by fraud alert was, okay, both of these teams have been winning, and winning somewhat convincingly, but it was time to see who was really the truly better team and who really are kind of the frauds. I think BYU finally got exposed. Not that they're necessarily bad, but they're obviously not the head of the class when it comes to the Big 12, which I think Texas Tech kind of proved that out in this game. They completely dominated this game. I don't think BYU scored until late in the 4th quarter. So, I mean, they were getting shut out for the majority of the game. Texas Tech's defense is nasty. Their defensive line is really good. So, yeah, that was not necessarily surprising. We did hope that BYU could keep it within the 10 points, obviously. and just didn't happen. So that was one of our losses. And then finally, the sixth game, 67% of the experts were on the Baltimore Ravens, traveling to the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were getting plus 4.5. Final score of this game was 27-19 Ravens. A bit of a frustrating game for us. And if you were watching any of it, the Vikings had opportunities, but I believe they had 3 total turnovers, and JJ McCarthy ends up throwing 2 interceptions, which, and if you look at the score, 27-19, 3 turnovers, that's just 3 wasted opportunities to score. And, you're at home, shouldn't be doing those mistakes. But JJ McCarthy's young, hasn't had a lot of experience, and is coming off of an injury, so you can kind of expect some of that. So there was the 4-2 record for last week. We will take it, though. I mean, anytime we've always said this, Brad and I both have always said this, even when we started, is that every week, once we get to the 3 wins and we know that we're 500, everything is gravy after that, because we feel like if we can just stay above 500, and I think for betting purposes, somebody told us that to make money, you got to be 53.5% above on all your bets. So yeah, I mean 3-3 is a little bit below that, but then you mix in a few 4-2s and a few 5-1s, and you kind of get to where we are for the year, which is a good segue for me to transition into our super cool season 2 stats, and our year-to-date statistics. So what we do is we look at 4 different statistics to see, kind of gauge how we're doing for the year. The first one is awesome. So our season total for all of our picks, our 6 picks every week, is now at 38-22, which we do the maths right. That's 63.3% actually. Last week we were at 63% also, but it was 62.9, and I rounded up. But now we are a solid 63%. So what did I just say? The 53.5% is where you're making money in sports betting. Yeah, we're well above that. And so that's a lot to be proud of. I'm gonna toot our horn here a little bit, and say that, given the fact that we have a very limited slate of games, we don't have every game to choose from. We typically have about 24 or 25 games a week to pick from. And then, we're trying to, muddle through some of these where it's clear that, the expert side is probably the right side of this. Although coming up, I'll show you another statistic where we may be proving our point a little bit. We're not calling out any one expert to tell them that they suck. We're just the consensus of all of them. They may not always be right. And so far, we're kind of proving that point out with our picks. Next slide. Oops, jumped ahead. Okay, so here's the one I was talking about. So if you were to take all the qualifying games of our slate of games every week, which is about 24 or 25 games, and they're all against, it's the consensus of the experts, they're 65% or more on all these qualifying games. And if you just went blindly against them, the opposite, this is where you would be for the season so far with our slate of games: 132, 116, and 1. And that is a 53% win percentage. So if we were just to throw one unit, I know degenerate bettors like to talk in units. They don't like to share sometimes what their betting unit is. One unit could be $1, it could be $10, it could be $1,000, depending on your level. But if you were to throw one unit on every one of these games, you would be ahead. I don't know how many units, because it depends on some of the odds that you get, but at least you'd be winning 53% of the time. So that says a lot. I don't think anybody would expect that. If you told them what we were doing, they would probably say that the expert side was significantly higher than that, than 47%, but it is what it is. So numbers don't lie sometimes. This next one is the highest percent game that Brad and I pick every week. Meaning, like this week, it was the 79% of the experts were on the Tampa Bay game, and we took New England. And we keep track of this just to see if we are getting that really high game against the higher, not the highest, but the higher percentage of experts. And right now, we just went to 6 and 5. You may wonder why that doesn't equal 10. There was one week where the highest percentage game was the same. I think it was like a 78%. There was 2 of them, and we went 1-1 on that one. So that's why there's 11. Okay. Brad and I do have a bet in our head-to-head picks, our own picks that are in the contest. And Brad and I what we should do is, I don't know why we're not, but we should just use the Expert Suck picks because we are not anywhere close to where those picks are. But Brad has a 2-game lead on me. I'm 26-33-1, and Brad is 28-32. So nothing to be proud of, Russ, on those 50 yards. Okay. So super cool statistics year to date for the year. A lot to be proud of here for the show. So the next thing we do, rolling right along, is we get into this week's picks, the week 11 picks. So last week we were pretty heavy on the NFL. We had 4 games of NFL games versus 2 college games. This week may be a little different. So let's just jump right in to the first one. 75% of the experts are on. Hey, here you go, Preston. The Vols, University of Tennessee, good old Rocky Top, hosting New Mexico State, the Aggies. So that puts us on the New Mexico State side, plus 40.5. And I think, I'm going to double check that. I think I did not update these when the lines came out in the contest. I haven't texted this to Brad, and I should have updated this slide, but I did not. I believe now that's 39.5. Yes, New Mexico State plus 39.5. Sorry for the typo. Sorry for not updating the slides, but we'll get through it. Oh, geez, got to transition the slides. My bad. Boy, sometimes hosting by yourself isn't the best thing. You just get all off task here, but that's okay. We'll keep trudging along. So yeah, New Mexico State plus 39.5 at the Vols. So Brad and I have said on these big lines before, where it's clear, the underdog's not going to win. When they're 5 touchdown underdog. So what we want is just for that underdog to score once or twice. Keep it close. Don't turn the ball over. Try to shorten the clock, shorten the game, so that the heavy favorite can't get out in front too much. Some statistics I kind of looked up. Yeah, Tennessee is really good on offense, and they're really good at passing the ball. They're number 2 in the nation in passing. I think they're number 3 in the nation in scoring offense. So this isn't great for what we're trying to do here. But on the flip side, New Mexico State, while they're 112th in scoring and 64th in passing, Tennessee is not good at defense. They are 114th in scoring defense and 116th in passing defense. So you're saying there's a chance for the Aggies to at least score 1 touchdown, maybe 2, and stay within the 39.5 points. So it's a tall task, but let's go Aggies. Now on to the next Aggies. 72% of the experts are on UNLV, the Running Rebels, hosting the Utah State Aggies. And Utah State is getting 4.5. No super cool statistics to talk about really in this game. Both teams are pretty middle, hence probably the 4.5. So I could see this being a bit of a back and forth game. And if Utah State can just keep it close, then UNLV could be on upset alert. Utah State could win outright. So stranger things have happened. So yeah, I mean, just again, we only want the underdogs to score a couple times. They don't have to win outright. Yeah, I mean, UNLV 7-2, Utah State 5-4. So let's go Aggies. The next one, 71% of the experts are on the Missouri Tigers hosting the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Okay, so this used to be a fraud alert team, Missouri, until they were actually finally exposed. Meaning, yeah, their first, I don't know how many games were at home. And then all of a sudden, they kind of went on the road and found out that it's not as easy to win on the road. So yeah, their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games were at home. And then they went to Alabama and lost a close one, but still lost. Then went to Auburn and won in 2 overtimes, but it was a close game within 6 points. So then they traveled to Vanderbilt and lost by 7. And then last week they hosted Texas A&M and got housed by 21. So Missouri's not as good as they were touted at the beginning of the year. And I think Mississippi State can stay within a touchdown here. So just hang in there, Bulldogs. Next one is 67% of the experts are on the LSU Tigers, Louisiana State University, hosting the Sioux Pigs, Arkansas Razorbacks. And that gives us Arkansas plus 5.5. I don't know. This is the battle of whose team has given up on their coach and their coaching and their season. Obviously, the head coaches of both these programs have been dismissed. Some more with a lot more fanfare than others. I would say Brian Kelly getting dismissed from LSU was probably justified, and that was probably welcomed by some Tigers fans, but it didn't necessarily give them the fired coach bump that usually comes with that. Let me check one thing for us here. Again, compelling podcasting right here, but here we go. Yeah, I mean, Arkansas's 2-7, LSU 5-4. Alabama beat them last week, 20-9. Texas A&M beat LSU 49-25. I think that was the game that might have got Brian Kelly fired, but yeah. And now they're doing the. A lot of people were calling for Nussmeier to get benched, but now they're doing the 2 quarterback system. So both Nussmeier and the other quarterback are going to play shared time. I forget who the other quarterback is. It doesn't matter. So that's usually not a formula for success, is to have those 2 quarterback system. But, go ahead, LSU Tigers. Okay, game number 5. This has Ole Miss, the Rebels, hosting the Florida Gators. Oh, I'm sorry. 65% of the experts are on the Ole Miss side. That gives us the Florida Gators plus 15.5. Very similar to last week with Florida when they played, no, 2 weeks ago, sorry, when they played Georgia and we had Florida. And, Florida had a chance to win the game. They did kind of have the one game coach bump from their firing of, was it Billy Napier? And another Billy took over, Billy Gonzalez, Thornton, Colorado, Colorado's own. And so they did get a nice bump and had an opportunity to win that game against Georgia. I think their offense is different. They're now trying to use their skill players in different ways and get them the ball in space and run a little bit more of a hurried up offense. So, that does give Florida a chance to at least kind of hang with Ole Miss here and just stay within 2 touchdowns, right? And we'll be happy. All right. Finally, last but not least, we have 65% of the experts are on Arizona State, the Sun Devils, hosting the West Virginia Mountaineers, and that gives West Virginia plus 11.5. We've used West Virginia numerous times this year, and they've covered for us a couple times. So, we're right back on that Mountaineer bandwagon. They're traveling to Tempe, but Arizona State has some injury issues, especially at the quarterback position, where Sam Levitt is out, I believe, for the season, and they're now relying on Jeff Sims, the backup quarterback. So different team than with the 2 quarterbacks. It's sorry, Jeff Sims, but it's true. Sam Levitt is the better quarterback and makes the offense go. So hopefully West Virginia can just play a lot of defense. And, the last time we took them, they won outright on the road. Sorry, I keep looking. But I want to make sure I'm not speaking out of my rear end. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we had them against Houston, and they won by 10 on the road at Houston. And then they beat up on Brad's CU Buffs. They didn't really beat up on them. They beat them by 7 at home. So, West Virginia on the road isn't necessarily a bad thing when they win outright against Houston. So, where's John Mooney? Hey, John, I'm glad you were able to get into the show. And John asking where Tampa is. Well, we did talk a little bit about Tampa Bay in the Week 10 game review, where we kind of had the Patriots side on that. Sorry, John, but sometimes you just got to play against teams when they're down. And I'd have to say the Buccaneers are kind of going through some struggles right now with all the injuries that they have to your team. That's how you what do they say? That's how you look at these games. That's how you pick. When you see weakness, you got to exploit that weakness. So, yeah. So that is where we're at. Let me give a quick rundown and recap of this week's games. So 75% of the experts on Tennessee, that gives us New Mexico State plus, that's 39.5. Yeah, I got my slides wrong. I apologize, fans, because there's 2 other games that the line is different. And I forgot to say that. I'll do it in the rundown. Okay. And then 72% of the experts are on the UNLV Running Rebels against Utah State. And that plus 4.5, that is a significant line change from what was put into the contest and what we get. So we're taking Utah State, and it's plus 6 instead of plus 4.5. So even better for us. 71% of the experts are on the Missouri Tigers versus Mississippi State. That gives us Mississippi State +7, no movement on that line. 67% of the experts are on LSU hosting the Arkansas Razorbacks. No movement on that line. That gives us the Razorbacks +5.5. 65% of the experts are on Ole Miss hosting Florida. There is some movement on this line, and I got that right. Oh, no, I don't have that right. It's Florida +14.5 instead of 15.5. So one point of closing line value not in our favor. But again, still over that magic number of 14 because we get the hook. And then 65% of the experts are on Arizona State, the Sun Devils, and no change in that line. We have West Virginia +11.5. Whew, that is a lot of me talking, guys. Like I said, Brad and Brandon were just not available for the show. We could have done it much later with Brad. He suggested later in the evening, but it was somewhat past my bedtime. Just so you know, another difference between me and Brad. Brad is a bit of a night owl, and I am an early riser. So that alarm clock going off at 4:45 a.m. is pretty early. So I wasn't down for an evening show. So I don't have a lot more to talk about it unless anybody wants to hear anything. Hopefully everybody went back and listened to the Tuesday show because we had some new things come up on the off-season other weekly sports. We are now doing the PGA Tour, UFC, and EPL, which is English Premier League Soccer. But it started with the World Cup picks because the World Cup is doing qualifying matches this weekend. So no EPL, just so you know. I'm more excited for EPL than I am for World Cup. But go back and check that out and see how we do there. I did do a DraftKings DFS lineup for tonight's Thursday night football game, which has already kicked off between the Jets and the Patriots. I'm going to do a little quick check in on the DraftKings lineup to see how we're doing so far early. Okay, we are outside the money right now, which is okay. The score of the game is 7-7. Trey Henderson gets that rushing touchdown, so that helps us. Not sure who scored for the Jets, but obviously did not help the fantasy scoring. Oh, Justin Fields rush. Of course, because I said I wasn't going to play either of the quarterbacks, Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor, because I didn't know who was going to be playing for sure. And then just in true DFS fashion, the guy that you say you should play and then you don't, or you don't play and you should have, scores a touchdown. And we'll probably just crush fantasy for the night. So come on, Patriots. You got to be stopping Justin Fields. We don't want any of that. So there you go. It's funny how DFS makes fans out of certain teams. When you're rooting for one particular player to score or one particular team to do better when you've never rooted for them before in your life. So much like fantasy football, as John Mooney knows, and our other good friend that usually joins the show, Dane. They've been doing fantasy football since 1988, I believe, in the same league. So good on them. But it does make for strange betting and rooting habits. So it's all good. All right, everyone. I am at the 40-minute mark, and I've gone through our review and our picks for this week. So I am going to call it a show and call it a night. I really appreciate everybody joining, Preston and John jumping in. Again, it makes this show better if people get in and jump in the chat and give us things to talk about. So try to do that if you can. I know the football show is typically in the afternoon, but come in on the Tuesday night show. That's usually in the evening, and join me and B when you can. So, as usual, if you're listening on Spotify, hit that follow button and then give us a like, give us a 5-star rating, and then share it to somebody you know. If you are watching on YouTube or you go back to YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. That's very important. But there's also a thumbs up button. That's important to hit as well, as that drives viewership towards our show on YouTube. So true in what sense, John Mooney? So true, so true. So true for the Buccaneers, so true for the show. I know you're probably trying to type fast. I'll give you a few more minutes. But yeah, if everybody will do that, we will gain some more viewers, and we'll gain some more listeners, and we'll gain some more followers and subscribers. Let me know if you like the short videos I've done. Let me know if you like the DFS videos I've done and posted on YouTube. And then again, all the content that goes up on Instagram. I'm really enjoying it. Sometimes my DFS lineups don't always cash, but I've hit the money line recently in a couple. So I did hit it last Thursday in the Denver and the Raiders game. So getting better, getting better. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining, and we will catch you on Tuesday. Good luck with all your plays this weekend.